We often want to control what users have access to what data in our apps. Of course, we can always add filters at the UI layer to determine what records get shown in collection views. However, this isn't the most secure way of doing things. Instead, what we always recommend is setting database permission rules that determine at the API level which records a particular user has access to. This is a lot more secure, as the data will never reach the front end if your permission rules determine that a particular user should not have access to it. This particular use case is for a CRM for my real estate team. As a team admin, I can access all records. However, I've got agents in my team, and I want to make sure that they can only see the properties that they have been directly assigned. To do this, I'm going to set up record-level database permission rules. Firstly, let's take a look at our data setup. So I can see here when I look at the properties table that each property has an associated agent. Now if I look at the agents table, I can see that an agent can be associated with a number of properties. For example, Alexi Fam here is associated with 2 different properties. So now what I'm going to do is set up the permission rule on the properties collection. So I'm going to click on the permissions icon here. And I can see a little warning that says that those with the agent user role do not have access to any of these records. In other words, I haven't set up a permission rule for the agent user role. So I'm going to fix that now. So I'm going to click on the new permission button. And then what I'm going to do is remove some of these other roles here and then just add in the agent. So I only want to set this permission rule for the agent. So I'm just going to rename this here. So agent property permissions. Cool. So by default, the rule will state that users with this particular role can access all records, but I don't want that. I want those with the agent user role to only have access to properties that they have been directly assigned. So I'm going to toggle off this toggle here and then click to add a new rule. So what I want to do is say that the agent should only have access to their own properties. So in field values, I'm going to choose the property ID. I'm going to say that this property ID is one of the logged in user agent properties collection. And to talk through this, so the logged in user essentially refers to the Noloco users table. Now, because we're using Airtable as the main database for this app, there's a relationship between the Noloco users table and the Airtable agents collection via a user list. So I'm moving from the Noloco users table to the Airtable agents table that then is associated with the properties collection as we previously saw. In other words, an agent has a list or a collection of properties that they are assigned to. Perfect, so that's all set up now. So I'm going to go ahead and save this new permission rule. Now to test it, I'm going to go back to my app. Here I'm logged in as myself as a team admin. So what I'm going to do is preview the app as another user. So I'm going to choose Alexi Fam here, who I know has the agent user role assigned. And now while previewing as Alexi, I can see that some of the property records have disappeared. And if I click into one of these property records here, I can see that Alexi only has access to records that he is directly associated with. So from testing, I can see that the permission rule we set up at the database level has worked, and the agent only has access to their own property records.